Okay, so in this point of the video, we have a lot of controls. They are set up. It is working correctly. Now what I want to do is set up a pull vector so that way we can control where the elbow aims, because right now it just kind of goes out. So how would we do that? So we would need some sort of control. Let's do curve. Sorry, NURBS primitive, circle, like we've been doing. And I need to get it between the wrist and the elbow. First, I want to make sure that it is on the plane that is all three of these, the wrist, elbow, and the shoulder. So I'm going to select 1, 2, 3. There we go. I selected the IK handle at first, so I deselected it and then went to the wrist. And then object to be constrained is going to be that NURB circle. Then we're going to do a constrain. Let's maximize this so that we can see it a little bit better. Constrain. We can do a parent. We got to make sure that maintain offset is not turned on. And then let's add that. So you can see what it does. It puts it right on the plane. So that way we can have it right on the axis that we need. Okay, so we have that. Then we can delete the constraint. And what we want to do is select that circle. And I want it to aim towards that joint here. So the target is going to be the joint. Then the object to be constrained here is the control constraint, aim constraint, maintain offset. We want it to be off, and then add. You can see that it changes the axis here. And then we can delete the constraint because it's still aiming that way. And then move it in the X axis. And here we can see, I don't know, we moved it about 40 units. And then now, if we select this control and select the IK handle and do a constrain pull vector, we should not have any shift in the arm. And here we can control the elbow. Got there. You can give it more of a bend so that we can see it more profoundly. But that's basically what we have to do. We also have to freeze the transformations here once we have it in the correct position, and then create the control the way we did with the other object, so that all the other controls, so that way it has a 0 group and an offset group and whatnot, and we name it and all that stuff. But that's the general process. So if we look at the create controls, which we're using the CC command here, the control name, we need the alignment we could use, the direction we can use, the radius we could use. Then the joint, right now there is no joint, so that won't work the way we have it here. And then freezing transformations, that's fine. Everything that we're going to be doing is an offset. So this is kind of very different than the basic create a control that we have, but we can go over here and we can say maybe create pull vectors. We'll create a function. Create pull vector. And then we can create one for each one. I don't know what arguments are going to need yet, so we'll write it out. Define create pull vector. And then we go to the next line. So let's just make sure I spelled it correctly. That looks good. Okay, so we need to create a circle, and we can steal that from here. We're creating a circle. We're going to have to maybe adjust some things. So we're going to need control name. We're going to need an alignment. And right now for the control, that looks like all we need. So the control name, we're going to say left, or say elbow. I'm going to call it an elbow control, and it is left. The direction, so we can see up here, direction was next, so we'll need the direction. Actually, let's see if we can steal some code. I have an arrow control, so if we look at it here, it's already aiming on the X, and we can basically take this code right here . Oh, I see what I did. That is a mel command, so I just created it and then set yeah, I created it. I created it in the viewport. Then I just copied the mel code. So that's a mel command. I can't do that. So I'm not going to steal that. But that would be nice so that we have an arrow instead of a circle. And I'm not going to take the time to create the script for that right now. But that looks good. And then I'm going to copy this because that's pretty much what we use for everything. And these we added negative, but they didn't really change anything, so I'm going to make them positive in the previous lesson. So that's the direction. Okay. Let's try this. So right now the control should be created in the root. So line 266. Let's go down over here. Oh, because I need to add comma direction. There we go. Create skeleton, create rig. $241. R is not defined. $241. Oh, radius. I'm just gonna set it here. R equals 1, because these are all pole vectors. I'm not gonna give myself another argument to type down there. Okay, cool. So we have this control right there. That is great. Okay, so now that we have that, we need to align it where we need it to be, which is going to be with these 3 joints here. The shoulder, the elbow, and the wrist. It needs to be on that plane, which we need to do a vector, pole vector. So, a parent constraint. So let's do joint 1, joint 2, and joint 3. And I put these in the wrong place. Let's remove these, or I'll copy them and paste them over here. It's going to be that. So joint 1 is going to be the shoulder, elbow. Actually, let me do the wrist first, because I'll bump it off the screen. And then elbow. Okay, and all of these should be in quotes. Okay, and now that I have that, I need to do a parent constraint and okay, parent constraint, and then it's going to be joint 1, joint 2, and joint 3. Okay, so I have joint 1, 2, and 3. And then we need name, which is going to be this object here. And then we're going to say n equals name plus p const. And then we also need to make sure that maintain offsets is turned false. Capital F, false. There you go. Save that, and then let's try running this. Let's clear the scene. Create skeleton, create rig. Uh, 244. Oh, because I need MC dot parent constraint. That will help, so that way it knows what library to look in. And have that point there. That looks good. Okay, then we need to do mc.delete. And what are we going to delete? Oops, not in here though. That's why I was confused. Up here. So it's going to be mc.delete. And we're going to delete this. Then it's going to be mc.aim constraint. And let's look at the documentation of this really quick. So we have the aim vector. That's what I want. I want aim so that way I can make sure that it's aiming on the X. So what we're going to need to aim it towards is JNT2. And name is going to be the object there. Then n equals name plus a constraint. Then we are going to say aim, or let's do maintain offset equals false. Then aim equals 1, 0, 0, because we're doing it on the x-axis. There you go. Then we're going to take this and delete it. mc.delete constraint here. Then now that we have that delete, we're going to say mc.set header. Set header. Name plus .tx is going to be set to 40. And then let's look at, because we've done several lines of code there, to make sure everything works. Create skeleton, create rig. And hopefully we don't get any errors. So I want, it looks like it worked, but I want to make sure that I comment this out before we start moving it to see what happens here. So we have the elbow constraint there. Let me see, what do I have as 2? 2 should be the elbow. Okay, which is what I want it to aim at. Just let's comment that there. And let us clear this and see what happens with the aim constraint. Get skeleton, create rig. So we got that there. And oh, we don't need to do these grouping things yet. So let's move these down to the bottom. Okay, maybe we can, if we are just affecting the offset group. So over here, what we can do is, instead of, I'm going to add the offset here. So instead of name, it's going to be plus offset. And the aim constraint, I'm doing the wrong thing on the aim constraint. I am doing object to be constrained should be the last thing. So it should be joint 2 here. And then name plus maintain offset. And then here, that's weird. Oh, I forgot the quote on all of these. I'm glad that mistake happened there so I can find it. Okay. Let us clear all of this. Try this now. Create skeleton, create rig. Select that. So it still doesn't look like it lined up correctly. So let's comment these 2 lines again, just so that we can see where the aim constraint is now. Oh, because that should be 0, not offset. Okay. I'm not even going to uncomment those now, just so that I can get the positioning correct. So there, that's aiming in the right direction. And then this should be 0. Okay. Now let's try all of this. So here we can see that when we it's adding it here, but what I wanted to do, oh no, Okay, so I'm going to comment. Ooh, let me pause this for a moment. Okay, sorry about my dogs, but I got her to settle down, or at least I thought I did. Okay, yeah, she laid down. She's good. So where were we? Let's make this bigger. There we go. So what I want to do is comment this, and I want to see when I actually physically do it, what flags are set up. So that way I can move it in the correct direction. So if I look at it here, we can see that it is aiming in the correct direction, but if we move it, it's moving in the X and the Z. So if we freeze transformations, that doesn't help us because then it's moving in the wrong direction. Oops. But yeah, with the 0, that's, yep, even with that. So I know that I want to be able to move it locally in the Z. So let's, or the X. Let's go into our code really quick. And then we're going to say move rather than set adder. And let's look at the command documentation for the move. Absolute is not what I want. I want probably relative. But I also want it to be, so when I move this here, let's look. Object space is true. And then world direction in the X. Okay. So let's comment this. And let's look at the command documentation again for this. Let's look at some examples. So we can see that it has the values X, Y, and Z there. So we're going to have to list that, then the object, and then the flags. Okay, so we got move. Then it's going to be, let's say 40 because it's in the X. 0, 0. Then the object that we're moving, which is good. Then relative equals true. Then we want object space equals true. And we need WD equals true. Let's check what WD is. Is it in this one? No, it's in this one now. Okay. World space distance. Move is specified in world space units. Yeah, that's fine. I don't think we need to define that, but that is fine to have in there. Okay. So let's try this now. Let's see where that ended up. So we do that. It's like 20. Let's try. Oops. I mean, 40 should be enough. Let's save this and run it. And it is still not adjusting it. Let me pause. Okay, so the thing that we need to adjust is the TX. Oh no, sorry. So we need to remove that. Let me pause again. So sorry about all the barking, but hopefully we can get through the rest of this video. Like I said, we had to remove the TX there, and that should get us to the point where it is moving it in the direction that we need. Because we needed to list the object, not the axis. So there, we got it where we need it to be moving. And then now that we have that, we should see that on the control itself, it is still zeroed up because we were moving the zero control, so that is good. Now I just need to take this and copy it over. This is going to be for the right side, and I'm going to adjust it to be R, R, and R. So now we should have two controls, for one for the elbow, each elbow. We got one control over here. We got one control over here. That is great. Then I'm also going to go to the create control function here, and I have these two if statements, so that way we can get the color correct. So let's go here, make sure we get the correct color, and just copy and paste that since we already have that code done. And then we need to do the knees. So let's go here. It's going to be knee. One, two, and three. Those are the three joints that we need. So it's going to be hip, knee, and ankle. And then copy this, paste it, and then we're going to switch over to be R, 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 and R. So that way we're doing the right side. Okay, let's clear all of this. Create create skeleton, create rig. And now we have these knee controls right here. That is great. Then when we are doing the constraints, let's look at where we constraint controls. We can add the pole vectors in here. So we're going to do MC dot pole vector constraint. The target is going to be the name of the control. So we'll start off with the left elbow. Object to be constrained is going to be the IK handle. Then name is equal to the elbow control underscore pole vector constraint. Maintain offset is equal to false. Okay. So let's run this here now. Create skeleton, create rig. So here you should see that this works, but it doesn't. Target object to be constrained. Okay, so we have this backwards. False. I'm going to cut this here. And then I'm going to do paste and add a comma. There we go. So hopefully that will fix it. Let's clear the scene. Create skeleton, create rig. See. Target. Oh wait, I had it right the first time. This target, then object to be constrained is the pole vector. We created a name. Let's see if this has a constraint under it. So if we look at it here, we do have a constraint. Let me see if I get an error. It might be the maintain offset. It might not have a flag for maintain offset. There, yep. A pole vector does not have maintain offset, so we can remove that. And let's try this now. Create skeleton, create rig. There we go. That is moving it correctly. So let's go back here and adjust this pull vector constraint. And the elbow is everything here. Basically, we're just going to switch over to be right instead of left. There we go. So now that we have that working, we are going to create the same thing, but for the knee control. And this is going to be the foot and knee. And then let's copy all of this, bring it over to the next line, and switch all the L's for R's, and hope I remembered the naming of everything correctly. And let's clear all of this, create skeleton, create rig. So the foot, so we can see that I didn't name it foot, I named it leg, IK, which makes sense. Leg, leg. Okay. Create skeleton, create rig. There we go. The knees are moving. That is great. So, all of these controls basically just need to be parented to the master control. So over here where we're doing all the parenting, that goes into the master control, we can just add it here. This is going to be left elbow. Then we need the right elbow, and then the knees. Left knee, and then the right knee. So if I were to zoom out, should be able to see that, and we can see I'm missing a comma here. There we go. Let me see. Just a tiny bit off. Okay, that's about as close as I'm going to be able to get so that we can see the whole thing. But that is the line of code for the parenting, so that it goes into master control. So let's save the script, run. Then we'll clear the scene here, and it should clean up our whole scene. Create skeleton, create rig, and we should end up with the CGI nerd only. We have the whole rig here. You can see nothing is offsetting, which is great. We can move an arm. We can create the pull vector. Cool. So this is a base skeleton. So if you're working on the project for me, this is up to the point that is required. If you want to follow up in future lessons, because I'm going to be likely doing more, like I'm going to do a reverse foot and maybe special spine control and other things in the future. But yeah, this is it for the basic kind of skeleton, and then we're going to add more advanced features in the next lesson and continue on forward from there. All right.